cash, code and compliance. Payments and AML in MENA Entertainment.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for staying. I know everybody wants to sort of get away now, but I can guarantee you this is going to be the best panel of the day. So we've got the fantastic panelists that nobody else wanted. So, so we're good to go. We're going to be talking about the entertainment industry today within MENA, and that payments are no longer about moving money. They sit at the intersection of cash, card, compliance. We see companies that look perfectly licensed on paper, yet still struggle with the block transactions, frozen accounts, and unhappy payment partners, as well as unhappy clients. Today, we're going to unpack what happens, what's changing fastest in the region, how entertainment companies can build payment models that work and are scalable, and without creating any regulatory exposure, we hope. We'll find out. I'd like to introduce you to the panelists, and we'll start with Genia. If you'd like to introduce yourself and tell people what you do.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Julian, first of all, for having us here, and for the beautiful Sigma team. So I'm Gurevich. I'm the head of entertainment regulation at Clearsky network. We're a business and legal consulting for online businesses.
Can you hear okay?
So we were just talking that we are not hearing very well from here.
You know, not hearing very well.
Yeah.
I'll speak up louder and see if you can hear me.
Yeah, now I can.
Now you can hear it. Excellent. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Super. Thank you very much. Ben, could you introduce yourself, please?
Sure thing. Can you hear me? Great. Wasn't sure.
We can hear you.
Ben Floyd, and I'm the CEO of a regulatory compliance consulting practice, I3 Integrity, and we also have a a risk and compliance orchestration platform called Vesant.ai. So it's great to be here.
Thank you very much. Katerina, could you please introduce yourself to the people?
Hello all. First of all, I'd like to thank you for coming. This panel is like last but not least, I hope, to have it like that. So my name is Katerina. I'm a managing partner of Legal Pilot Firm. We are a legal consultancy for the international businesses, actually helping them to operate in various markets and to expand for the new ones.
Thank you. And Pavel, last but not least.
Yeah, thank you very much. First of all, thank you for Sigma for hosting us here on this stage and in Dubai. I'm co-founder and an advisor of 4H agency. We are helping the merchants and the gaming companies to penetrate to different markets. And we also work with numerous of banking and fintech companies with risk management issues, with settling the operations in different markets. So we're quite familiar with the topic today. And I live in Dubai for like last 4 years. So it's like my homeland.
So you're understanding the pains already?
Yeah. I would say that mostly as the client.
Yes.
So it's like good angle.
Yes,
so it was
super.
a very short trip for you, right, to come here?
20 minutes.
Such a lucky person.
Yes, excellent. So, guys, I'm going to go straight into it, and I'll go back to what I just discussed, which was why some entertainment companies appear fully licensed on paper, but they face major payment problems in practice. And where do you feel that there's a disconnect? Why do these people, or why do these companies have these problems? And Genia, can I come to you first on that?
Yeah, sure. So I would approach this from, let's say, another perspective, how business operate and how financial institutions operate. Online entertainment businesses, their aim is to run as fast as you can, as farther as you can, while banks and financial institutions, they view their business from the prism of risk. They manage the risks, and they always look for red flags, and they're always ready to hit the brakes should any red flag is raised. So let's say if something's not right with the candidates or applicants' KYC, or CV is not right, or his name jumps, I don't know, on Google search, And sometimes banks always look at those red flags and they manage the risks, and sometimes they decline applications and block the path for online businesses.
So realistically, the entertainment regulator side and the banking regulator side
Are
have a
aligned.
complete
Are
misconnection of what goes on.
To some extent, yes.
And then, well, because obviously you have the banking side or the payment side of it that under their regulations they have certain rules to follow, they have certain things that they need to do, and maybe it's a bit sort of pushed too far in some institutions. So it's about finding the right institution to be able to help them.
Exactly. It's the finding the right balance between what regulators want and are expected, financial institution, and what the market needs
And
demands.
you'll see a complete mixture between different places and different people.
I mean, it varies from markets. So there are markets that are far more developed and mature, while new emerging markets, you still see all this salad of needs and whims.
So thank you. Ben, would you have any more
Yeah,
information
just add
on this?
yeah, sure. I just add a few things. So, I mean, certainly I wouldn't say there's a complete disconnect. I mean, in some markets there may be a disconnect. I'd see more of it overlapping circles, right? In some cases, regulators are focused on certain aspects, and banks, just as you said, are very much focused on what's the money laundering risk, the reputational risk, the sanctions risk. So they're very drilled into these items, and so it's I don't know if it's a disconnect, if you will, but certainly there's the need to make sure that in addition to meeting whatever requirements are to get a license to operate, that you also you're drilled into the other types of risks, and that you're managing that in a way that is you're paying good attention to it and not just short shrift or light focus on it, because ultimately you're going to get grilled by your banking partners for sure.
Yeah, and I think also that sometimes in the industry, the entertainment industry, there may be, let's say, the disconnect of understanding what's at risk for that financial institution as well. The licensing time, I've licensed 2 entities. I know the times that these things take, and I know what's at risk on this. So sometimes that bank, payment institution, whichever, it might be one company that is giving them the problem, but that one company can then put them at risk of their license full stop, and all the other companies as well. Katerina, do you have the same feeling on this, or?
I do have the same feeling of that. However, I just want to mention here that in most of the cases, businesses, they are prepared, for all the checks that will come from the compliance coming from the payment field. And they mainly have the idea that whenever you are in the process of license acquisition, you have already covered all the compliant questions that you might have. But it's not the situation actually that we have. And, previously, it was just only the formal process to proceed with the compliance coming from the payment providers. As for this moment, as the things come in more strict, you should be aware that actually you can have much more questions coming from the side from the compliance from the financial institutions rather than even from the regulator. And it's not something that we arrange only formal documents, like AML policies, KYC, and et cetera, et cetera. That's how you should show to the financial institution how your business works. And actually they are checking not only the documents, not only the paperwork, but the actual business processes that you have. And that's how you should keep yourself prepared. I'd like to think about that as well.
Thank you. Again, going back to experience here on my side as well. So on my side, you need to have that financial institution that understands that business, fully understands. How can they understand that business? By the policies, by the procedures, by that, to make sure that you, as entertainment companies or entertainment operators, know and understand who you're onboarding and how it's working. But I think there's too many financial institutions at the moment that will just sort of go, okay, we don't want to touch that, it's too risky for us. Or there's one payment that they're unsure of, that's it, we're going to put a stop on it. And they're too at risk. And again, it's finding the right ones that will actually understand the business, talk you through the business. So if you get that right at the beginning, and they have that questions at the beginning, it might seem that there's too many questions, but they're getting an understanding. The ones that don't ask questions are the ones you run away from. Pavel, same.
Yeah, so I actually totally agree with Katerina, since this is kind of segregation of the payments institution depending on the type of the businesses they are dealing with. And I'm actually considering it completely normal. The biggest challenge for my clients and in our business is that, to be honest, it's very easy to read the regulation. And the regulation is kind of straightforward. The problem is sometimes the regulation comes not from the paper. Sometimes the regulation comes from the different sources, such as press conference of the central bank, like CEO, or like different media press releases, or this and that. And it's very hard to navigate yourself through all these events which are happening outside of the regulation, outside of the compliance requirements, outside of the IML requirements, because afterwards they call it, guys, this is business practice. But show me the bullet in the law, how this business practice works, how it is implemented, how I can bypass this through this regulation. And this is the biggest concern now. And I would say that MENA, this region, is not doesn't have a lot of such problems. It is these problems comes mostly from Europe, where in Europe it is so many unreasonable overruling from the banks is happening, and now financial institutions, the government makes them the judges when you are doing the business. We have the judges in the court. Why you put additional function to the institution which has to serve your clients rather than to decide is he ready to work there? Why the banking institution checks like all these business plans which are not true in 110%. Everyone sends the business plans, but no one checks this business plans.
How many read them?
Yeah. You should control it in ongoing basis, and you should be reasonable when you're implementing this and that in your regulation, especially intra-institution regulation.
Yeah, obviously the regulations are covered by Europe as a whole, and those regulations are fed down to the actual payment institutions. The payment institutions need to interpret it the correct way.
They become political analysts rather than compliance officers.
Yeah.
They have to check, to put out the flag and to check where the wind comes from and where it is going to right now. You always have to navigate yourself. This is the biggest challenge now.
Absolutely. Pavel, I'm going to stay with you, actually, because you're the one that's really talking here now, so I'm going to stay with you for the next question as well.
Okay,
so,
let's try.
Okay, so many operators operate across multiple jurisdictions, as we know. So they're operating across Europe, operating in LATAM, operating MENA, whichever. Often, though, there's like a patchwork of PSPs, local agents, settlement accounts. In reality, what payment structures, in your opinion, actually work in MENA for collections, settlements, and payouts without constantly triggering compliance issues?
The compliant payment structure works all over the world the best way. And I would say the licensing of the company itself, it doesn't mean that you licensed your cash flow. And this is very important for operators, no matter of what they are doing, like if they are doing fashion retail or entertainment, or they are selling like luxury goods, whatever you are doing, you have to understand that your cash flow is the part of your compliance. If you have the license, not a necessary license, it doesn't mean that you are doing everything else correctly. Correct. So you have to continuously navigate yourself around all these parts of the business, like payouts, because payouts is one of the most anti-money laundering objects. Yep. There is more problems for the merchants, for the clients, are coming from payouts rather than from the cash collection, because like when you pay money, especially for freelance, for your contractors, who are physical individuals. It raises a lot of questions, and you also should consider your business way more toxic than it is considered by the regulator or the bank itself.
Okay, thank you. Ben, do you see this as more fragmented, though, across different jurisdictions?
I'm sorry, is more what?
Fragmented. The payment services they're offering. Obviously, if you're within Europe and you're within a certain country within Europe, there's certain payment methods that are going to work and certain payment methods are going to happen.
Right.
A lot of these companies are wanting to move to different jurisdictions, wanting to work in that, but they've got so many different fragmented payments. My last panel, we were talking about payment orchestration and how this works, and I think there could be this lack of orchestration.
Yeah, I mean, to some extent, there certainly is a lack of orchestration. There could be ways of improving that. I think that less complexity is better. So to the extent that you can orchestrate less complexity within your payment structure, that's going to be better. I think also part of that is transparency. So ensuring that you've got the right level of transparency. Sometimes structures are built complex, specifically to make it unintentionally, try to make it easier for approvals, while at the same time it actually creates more questions around the complexity that you're creating.
Yep.
So I think that, particularly as a payment, service provider, it raises concerns when you see it's complex entity structures or anything like that to try to make it easier to operate. It actually raises more questions. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It always causes the problem when you are fragmentating the flow of your operations.
Right,
Yeah.
and that gets back to your cash flow,
Yep.
topic.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so.
Thank you. There's always pressure to reduce the friction, because obviously the friction essentially pushes away your clients. More friction you have, the more they'll move and they'll go to somebody else. Fewer checks, faster onboarding, smoother deposits. Why do low friction payment solutions so often create within MENA, though, a compliance issue? You see that again, I think you answered it sort of there by it's low friction because it's making it easier for them, but they're missing out certain parts. Do you see that within the MENA region?
I don't know that it's, from my perspective, that it's necessarily different than I see in many jurisdictions, which is, I mean, there's a bar below which, you try to raise or reduce the friction to such an extent that you create regulatory issues. Particularly if it's you lower it to a point where you're trying to move faster than your controls can kick in. So I think it's the importance is more around, and just to use the term we've been talking about, orchestration. If you can orchestrate your controls in a way that are targeted towards the right level of risk. So you can afford to reduce friction with some relationships. Other relationships, you're going to have to increase that friction, right? So I think again, designing your program around that, as opposed to treating it kind of with one yardstick or one way of measuring. These are the set of controls. Are we going to have this level of friction across all of our customer base? That's just not. It's not going to be the most effective, because you're going to run into regulatory issues, or even in the case of some relationships that could have less friction, you're going to impede them when you could have a lower risk or a low friction. Excuse me.
Thank you. From what you were saying there as well, it's creating a little bit more risk, a little bit more tension on the payments side of it. Genia, how does that tension and that friction impact conversion rates within the entertainment businesses? At what point does improving the conversion start to actively increase regulatory needs. So you've got a double edge there as well. You've got the friction. The friction is going to push away the conversion rates. The more you do the conversion rates, then is it going to be more friction that you're going to bring in as well because you've got more regulatory needs around it?
Yes, so I think basically it all comes down to how well you want your compliance officers to sleep well at night. But I think in most cases it depends on the stage of the company. Let's say if you're a startup and let's say you're not afraid to run, with like a sword in your teeth. You're not afraid to break a few things, to pay some fines, and maybe risk, getting license revoked, stuff like that. In some cases, I don't know. I think it could be a business decision. Obviously, when you're a more mature business and more established, obviously it's not a risk that you wish to assume. That the higher conversion rates, but much less friction. Because friction, it's not necessarily good, yes, but always the right balance must be struck.
I think that'll lead on to another question from me. So, do you feel that on an earlier startup time of it, essentially they're not as much focused on the regulatory side as more on the conversion side? So it's about let's get as many people in as we can, and we'll deal with the regulatory side after. And then they get to that mature stage where it's like, oh, we've done this really wrong. We need to really focus on the regulatory side and drop down that conversion.
It's a very good point, Julian. Yes, I think this decision has to taken into consideration well in advance, because if we're planning to work with this business for many years to come, which I hope everyone does, and this is a mark on their history, on their record, on their report sheet. So this is something they should take into consideration. On the other hand, if this risk they're not willing to take down the path with them, obviously it needs to be taken with much greater care.
Thank you. What, Katerina, what's changing fastest right now in MENA when it comes to payments and compliance? And what should the sort of entertainment operators sort of prioritize first? Do they prioritize payments or do they prioritize compliance?
So first of all, as everyone knows, that MENA is not the region with the same level of regulation everywhere. So for sure, we have the countries that are like too conservative, and they unlike to accept like new changes here. So in these fields, all the businesses actually they can be like very calm, and have like no risk about some unpredictable changes here. On the other hand, we have like UAE as an example that actually like a leader, let's say, from the perspective of the regulation, and actually they are not afraid to take the new social events that we have and to regulate them in an appropriate way. It's a tendency, as we see as for this moment, especially on this specific country that is welcoming us on this panel, is that everything is moving, to get like more speedy ways of the payments, especially to the instant payments, and that actually the social events that has the consequences from the compliance as well. Because like previously, all the financial institutions, they've had enough time, to check the profile of the business, and they could manage that on the different stages of actually cooperation, with that of this client. On the onboarding stage, whenever they make some payments, you can send like additional requests coming from the compliance. At this stage, they can do it as well. However, as for this moment, in case the business uses like instant payments, they do not have, like this slot and window as for this moment. So that is why you should keep yourself prepared to have, the answers to 100 questions from the very beginning. And like what is very important is like to show like all the business model and like to be like very frankly with the compliance team in order to show the picture how it actually works. As I have mentioned before, so it should not be like not the formal procedures, and this should be something that should be implemented, and you should actually provide the explanation how it works. From the other hand, we have some alternative payment solutions like crypto, and as we see this beautiful example that actually UAE makes. So UAE is like not afraid of something actually, and they do understand that main idea that it's better to regulate something and like to study on the mistakes that you do rather than not to have like any control out of the operations that you will see as for this moment. So coming from the payments, we will see like two types of the compliance, the traditional one from the fiat, and the like alternative one for the crypto. And everyone should understand that it's like not something new, and actually governments already know how to work with that. So that is why you should be prepared for the same type of the questions and requirements for both for the fiat and for the crypto payment solutions here as well. And as for the question, sorry, I will answer that as for the prioritization. For sure, you should like prioritize it because it's like very important and like crucially important for business to have this instrument, you know, like for the payment. So you do not have any choice. I don't understand that actually, you know, there's a fragmentation of the legislation that we've had into the business practices. It might be, you know, like quite complicated, especially to the nature of the business that is like very unstable. However, you should think about that you should have some, you know, basic framework that you should follow and to think about the backups that you will have, including your compliance. So in any case, you know, this bottle of water, it will not change. You know, it will be like the bottle of water. It may have, you know, like another color, another name, something like that.
But it's
By
still the same bottle of water.
It will be like the same. So that
Thank
is like
you.
the approach that we'll take.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. You mentioned crypto as well. Crypto and alternative payment methods are actually increasingly becoming part of the entertainment ecosystem, whether it's stablecoin, whether it's BTC, Ethereum, whichever. Whether companies like it or not, and essentially if companies aren't going to bring it on board, they're going to fall behind. Especially with, as we were saying, multiple jurisdictions. You know, this is something that actually does cover multiple jurisdictions as a single payment method. Where do you see firms crossing the line between innovation and regulatory exposure within the MENA region? And do the regulators clearly distinguish between custody, facilitation, and off-ramps, on-ramps? Or is that still evolving? Or do the regulators not actually really understand it? Pavel, I'm going to ask this one to you.
So this is a good question because it's like the answer is a bit tricky. It is the regulation is pretty liberal in terms of the crypto here, which allows international companies to work here. I mean, like the companies who are processing crypto at first, and they are. I know a lot of like, luxury brands. They are well known internationally, who are using international company targeting to local market and accepting the crypto, getting the settlement to FSL licensed bank accounts.
You're seeing it in car makers, you're seeing it in watchmakers. I mean, these top luxury brands are all going that route now.
I mean, I do not mean, I don't know how did it work. I mean the proper crypto processing. I do not mean the guy who is selling the watches and just sending their USDT wallet to get the money.
No, but I've actually seen the makers, like Rolex, whatever, actually utilizing crypto within their system now, their ecosystem. Actually,
and they use it actually well-known crypto processing companies.
Yes.
In general, in the regulation, crypto is defined, but still it is used only to avoid 1,200 pages of MasterCard and Visa rules to follow 200 pages of UAE regulation because it is very hard to know 1,200 comparing to 200. So this is kind of the fresh air for all these merchants to operate with high net worth individuals, because these high net worth individuals today it's about hundreds of thousands millionaires in Dubai, and all these millionaires, they want to buy and to sell some watches, flats, this and that, and crypto helps them to do it. And it isn't like the dodgy crypto. Again, it is very important to segregate sending USDT wallet or to go through, I don't know, like, can we mention the companies? I will do. Like it can be MoonPay, it can be AAA, it can be crypto processing, it could be 0x processing. A lot of the companies who can acquire crypto.
Thank you. I'm going to stop you. We're getting right to the end. I am going to quickly throw a very quick fire question out there to you. Very quick fire question out. Can you all give me one capability, technical, legal, or operational, that will define successful compliant payment leaders in this region over the next 2 to 5 years? One sentence, because it's red and I'm going to get shouted at. Genia.
I would say to be more patient with the process, with the cultural differences that comes to this region. I would say this is my take.
Ben.
Real-time risk-integrated intelligence built into your payments process.
I was waiting for AI to come in somewhere. Katerina.
From the legal perspective, I would say to have the adaptable structure, actually, that can actually guarantee you that you will survive after all the changes that may happen on the way.
That exact orchestration platform that you can slot things into, but it's all there. Pavel.
To take care of your clients.
To take care of you. That's the best one so far.
Yeah.
That's the best. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to please put your hands together for a fantastic panel. Thank you all for staying, and I think the taxis will be piling up outside now. Thank you.
Thank you, Julian.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Amazing.